This is a very brief introduction to the Brother 970 garment shaper. Go to main menu and you'll see there's an icon flashing. That's for positioning patterns or garments. Click along to the one that's got the pattern, a jumper and a pencil there. That is garment and pattern designing. Press enter. The first three are for patterns, stitch patterns. The next one is a designing program and it's flashing a little jumper and a pencil. That's the one you want. It's given me the next garment shape, which is 28. I suggest you write that down and you write down what the garment is. This is a child's jumper that I'm doing. The first icon that's flashing is, say, that's for symmetrical garment design, so like a back or a front, which are going to be the same both sides. This one is for, say, doing a cardigan front, which is different one side to the other. So we're going to do a back. Now remember, it's got a line down the middle and it's telling you that you only put in half width, full length but half width. We come to stage 1. Press enter. It asks me what line number. Well, we're going across for the bottom of the jumper, so it's line number 1. It's telling me which way the line's going, and it's now X, which is width. What measurement do we want? Well, because we're only putting in half the width, which is 31 centimetres, half the width is 16.5 centimetres. Press enter. Stage 2. What line number do we want? Number 2, going straight up, as you can see on the top of the console. How high do we want this line, or how long do we want this to be before the armhole? And we want it 22 centimetres. Line course is going up. Y is always length, so we want 22 centimetres. This will now beep, because we put in a line to the armhole. It will beep when it gets to that correct row number to tell me to mark the armholes. So now we want line number 2 again. So we're going up to the shoulder, and we want that going upwards, and we want that to be 16 centimetres. Now when we get to the shoulder, stage 4, I want a slight slope on the shoulder, so we go for line 3. We want the shoulder to slope that way. How far in? Now what this is actually asking you is how wide is your shoulder? Well, you'll have obviously got a pattern you're using or taken the measurements. The shoulder measurement on this is 9.5 centimetres. And I've got a dodgy one there, dodgy point. And over what depth do we want this shoulder shaping? Well, I'm going for 1 centimetre because it's a child's one. As you can see, it's drawn a line and it looks straight, but it isn't. Right, we've now come to the back neck, stage 5. So what line number do we want? Do we want to go for 9, 10, 6? I'll go for 6 on this one, but you can use any line number you like. 6. It's asking me which way do I want the shaping to go. Well, obviously I don't want it going back up, so I want it coming down. Now how far to the centre line are we coming? So how wide is the back neck when it's halved? So we'll go for, I think I worked this out one out, it's going to be 7. And I'll show you what happens if it's wrong. And how deep do we want the neckline? Well, as it's a back neckline, we'll just have it as 1 centimetre. Now these Z's and L's that are going to come up, write them down if you want to. it's showing you what the length of the curve is, so you may want to take that measurement for reference for some reason. It's now told me I've reached the end of the pattern, so I have put in the back of a jumper. Now I'm going to show you, you've got that back of a jumper. It was number 28 because we wrote it down. We now want to put in tension measurements. So it's a positioning program. Go along to the little jumper. Now it's asking for your tension square. You can do 40 by 60, 20 by 30, or how many stitches you got in 10 centimetres. I tend to do the 40 by 60 because that's the tension square I do. So what did those 40 stitches measure? Well, we'll go for the standard one if we're doing standard UK 4-ply of 28 stitches to 10 centimetres. But what it's asking is what was it in centimetres. So we're going to guess because I can't work it out. We'll say it measured 14 centimetres. And how long were the 60 rows? Let's say it was 16 centimetres it measured. Obviously you'd put the correct measurements here. Remember on this one you're measuring in centimetres. It was garment number was number 28, but it could have been any of them. It's now telling me that I need to cast on 48 stitches left and right. And that's it. I don't think it'll let me go any further without it being plugged into the actual knitting machine. No, it won't. Now, I'll stop that now and I'll try and show you what it looks like on the knitting machine, but unfortunately it doesn't show up very well when it's connected to the knitting machine. Hopefully you can see that. We're now flashing at the little garment, which is the knitting room. Press enter and it's showing me again. We're on the stop screen and it's saying to cast on left 48, right 48. You can make that a little bigger if you want. And that comes up nice and large for if you want. That's just by toggling this switch. If you had a pattern, stitch pattern in there as well, it would show you the stitch pattern. So I'm going to leave it on the stop screen and just show you that you can click up like this. That's showing you the rows. And at some point we'll get a beep. That was it. Right, let's go back a bit. Right, knitting along merrily. It's beeped at you at row 83. You've just completed that. It's telling you to mark your armhole. Then we'll click up. Just going to move it across a bit so we can, that's it, you can actually see your garment there. Keep clicking up and you can actually see the garment on there. That's the white bit because we're in a... And there you are, we're coming up to the top. I'll take it off the top screen, stop screen, sorry. Let's move it up a bit more so you don't get too much boredom. Right, this is sort of, we're back. It's off the stop screen so it will register anything now. So knit across, let's see the rows changing. Now it's saying to me, knit one side. It's saying left. I'm actually on the right, so I'm going to move that and I'm going to start the shaping to knit one side from the right. Press enter. Brings you back onto the stop screen so that you can do what you need to do. And it's now saying that the only needles you want on now are right 1, knitting to there. So you put your hold, if you're doing hold, which I normally do, then you take the stop screen off, which is what I always forget to do, knit across. Now telling me you should actually be on right 8 here, so you would cast off your stitches until you've got 8 on, which I can't quite see what I'm doing here, but cast off to 8. It's also showing you the shoulder shaping on the other side to 42. Come back across. It's now saying 14. Cast off to stitch 14 and come into 34 on this side. Now saying we should be on cast off to 18 and 26 on this side. And it now says on row 147, so I've obviously knitted onto the wrong side, 147, all that you have left is 20 stitches on the shoulders, because these now come into the neck. So that's it, that's knitting completed. You press enter again and it says, do you now want to do the left side? And you say yes, and it's taken you back to the row you were on. If you'd got a pattern in there, it would have taken the pattern back to there, which is why you've got the stop screen on, because you can reset your pattern row and it will go through. I'll just go across and it shows you the changes again. Only I haven't taken the stop screen off. Take the stop screen off and it does the same, and your knitting is completed. And it's taking you back to the beginning again. I don't know if you want to knit another back. Now the beauty of this is that pattern is always in there. If you wanted to alter that pattern, you'd go back into your garment design. You'd go across, not to the first one where you're drawing it, but into the, that's pattern alteration. If you wanted to alter it, make the neck bigger, shorter, make it longer, etc., etc. If you just want to, you're doing it within a completely different stitch pattern, because you've decided you're going to, I don't know, let me put a pattern in. We'll have an all over pattern, pattern number 256. I've no idea what it is, and that's pattern repeat. Right, we've got a pattern position there. I've got a variation on. As you can see where it says V, I've got a variation on for reasons best known to myself. Not sure what that is. I'll go back in and take that pattern variation off. See, yes, I've got the KRC one on. So I go into it and I take it off. Come back out again. Right. Right, that's the pattern. Right, I now want to put a garment on there as well. I want this particular pattern on that particular garment. So I go to positioning pattern. I go along to the jumper sign again. Put my tension square in. I don't know, let's say this was a tuck stitch pattern, so it's going to come out quite wide. So it's going to measure, I don't know, 16 wide, but it's going to be quite short, so 12. And we want pattern 28. We're having the same one again, but we're doing it in tuck stitch. Now because it's coming out wider, I only need to cast on 42. As you can see, cast on 42. You can change so you can see what's what. That's showing me what the pattern is, and it's showing me also how it's inputted ... I hope that's been helpful.